Hey guys, it's Bridget with Sandy's Seed Company, and today I'm looking at these amazing, beautiful snapdragons that we harvested this morning out of our garden. And I'm going to teach you in this video how you can successfully grow snapdragons in zone 9 and 10, which, spoiler alert, some people think that's not possible. Totally possible. So you're going to learn everything you need to know in this video. Okay, so if you want blooms that look like this, that are florist quality, there are a few things that you need to know that will make or break your snapdragon growing season in zone 9 and 10. I will get to all of that in this video. So snapdragons, even though what you see in big box stores and a lot of nurseries are these puny little things, they actually can get very tall, and these are not even that tall. I'll show you some taller ones in the back. But they are really amazing blooms, and despite the misconception that they're really hard to grow in zone 9 and 10, they actually aren't. They're pretty simple. There's just a couple of key things that you need to know that we've learned over the last couple seasons trialing snapdragons that will make your season really, really successful. All right, so the number one thing you need to know about snapdragons is the when. When do you plant them? It can be really easy to see these stunning blooms in April and want to plant the seeds then. It's too late. You really need to start these in the fall or the winter so that you can get a lot of plant matter established that will give you these big spikes of blooms. And now this advice isn't something new. I've said this over and over and over about a lot of varieties in zone 9 and 10, varieties of flowers that is. They do really well when they're established during our cool season, and then as soon as the days get longer and the temperatures get a little bit warmer, you get these amazing blooms on big, healthy plants. So if you're gonna start snapdragon seeds in zone 9 and 10, think about starting in the fall or the winter, or at the very latest, early spring, so that you can get really nice blooms before it gets too hot. That is the key about snapdragons. They're very sensitive to temperature. They don't like our super hot summers. Now, they can perennialize, and I'll give you tips on how to do that, but the key is making sure that you plant them early so that underneath the ground, they have a nice big root system and they've established themselves so they can be really happy and healthy as the temperatures get warmer. So if you've seen our videos, you know that we have an amazing patch of snapdragons that we've shot at the farm. And the key thing about snapdragons for zone 9 and 10 is really good varieties that work in our hot climate. So Tetra Mix is one of them. We've got several others that we have trialed. This is actually the Potomac mix. Now again, these have been planted in the fall and they've been really well established. So they will do even better because they've had a couple of seasons to get really good root growth. They're happy, they're healthy, they're on irrigation. But no matter what you do when you plant snapdragons, look for varieties that are heat tolerant or that can handle our warmer temperatures in zone 9 and 10. So if you want really amazing blooms that look like this, cut your one here. I mean, look how long this is. This is nothing like what you would see at a nursery or a big box store. I mean, that is an incredible, look how long that is. That's a really great stem for making arrangements. It's beautiful. And to get something like this, there are a few special tips that you need to know. As I mentioned, you really want to plant the right varieties. You plant in the fall, and then you have to make sure these blooms stay upright so that you get long stems like this and not wacky curly things that you can't put in an arrangement. And I'll give you an example. If you come around here, you can actually see one of the stems has fallen outside my netting, and look how it started to grow. So interestingly, just learned this fun little factoid that snapdragons are actually more susceptible to gravity changes than most flowers. So if they fall to the side, if they're not held up straight, they almost always will give you these really crooked stems. And this is not bad, but it is very difficult to put this in an arrangement versus something like this because of just the fact that it curves. Not impossible. If you're a beginning cut flower gardener, you would absolutely probably still use this. But a florist wouldn't want something like this because of its odd shape. Now, how do we get them to grow upright like this? Well, it's called hortinetting. You can see I've got this plastic netting that is around the snapdragons. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first started growing more cut flowers, you know, I wanted to be kind of organic and wild about it and just let them do their thing. And I didn't put up the netting, and I was sorry. My snapdragons fell over, they snapped. The blooms were all kinds of weird shapes that were very difficult to use in arrangements, and oftentimes when I put them in arrangements they would break because they were weird shaped. So you have to have some type of netting or trellising that you can use to basically corral them so that they stay upright. There are lots of methods. This is the quickest and most inexpensive way to corral any cut flower. It's called Hortinova netting. I've also seen really cool things where people bend like a very thin cattle panel to a shape like this, and then they put it over their flowers. The nice thing I like about the Horta netting, you can take it off if you need to. You can also very easily raise it. So as the blooms get taller, I can bring it up. And it's just inexpensive and easy to use. A lot of cut flower farms use something like this to give them florist quality blooms. So the other things that you need to know that are really going to help you get amazing blooms is, first of all, you can't overhead water. Overhead watering is a big no-no because it's going to make the plant more likely to get foliar diseases, deformed petals. It's really just not a good idea with a lot of plants, and particularly most cut flowers don't like overhead watering. So you're going to water at the base of the plant or with your irrigation. Now that's a good tip to just kind of stash in your pocket or keep in the back of your mind for most vegetable growing as well. Bottom watering or watering at the level of the soil is going to help prevent a lot of diseases. So another reason why I really like using the Horta netting with just some inexpensive stakes is it makes an infrastructure that you can easily use for other crop protection. So during the hottest part of the summer, at our Ramona farm, which is more east and a lot hotter, we actually put up shade cloth. The shade cloth will actually help the plants make it all the way through the summer, so then they can perennialize. I don't have to dig them up. I can actually get a lot of beautiful blooms the next year. And because I have these stakes in the ground, I can literally just throw shade cloth on top. That's a really good tip for any cut flower. If you have some type of infrastructure, when the weather starts to get really hot or we get extreme heat, Santa Anas, you already have something that you can quickly and easily put shade cloth up and over. So let's get to the best part, the whole reason why we do this, right? How do you harvest these to get really amazing arrangements? Well, I've had the privilege of learning from a cut flower farmer how to cut these, and it kind of seems counterintuitive. You have to take a lot of the plant off for just one single stem, and what that's called is cutting deep. If you're a brand new gardener, you haven't cut a lot of flowers, you might be inclined to just cut like right here. But that gives you a really short stem, which maybe that's all you need. If you're using a small mason jar, maybe you don't need a really long stem like this. But no matter what kind of arrangement you're making, you need to cut as deep as you can in the plant, because wherever you cut, you will get side shoots. And where you get side shoots, the shorter that cut is, the shorter the side shoots will be, and then you'll get these puny little blooms. So you cut deep, and I mean like deep, like we're gonna go way down in here. In fact, let me get past this volunteer chard that I've just let take over. Okay, I'm gonna go way down here. I'm gonna cut all the way down here, knowing that I want to make this cut below the Horta netting so that any side shoots will grow up into the netting and be stabilized, and so that I can get a really nice long bloom. Now you see I'm stripping the leaflets or the leaves on the side, and I'm doing that so that when I stick it in the water will stay clean, and then this will actually be, I will keep this bloom a lot longer. We actually recently cut a lot of blooms from the farm, brought them home, and they lasted probably almost 3 weeks, and they were so stunning that a hummingbird came into the house to feed on them. I think that's like the most amazing thing ever, right? So the other factor in cutting really high quality blooms is, when do you actually cut them? There is a optimal time to get the most vase life out of Snapdragon, and every flower is different, which is really interesting. For Snapdragons, you want to harvest them when maybe 1/3 to half of the blooms are open on the bottom half. So this one, it's a little late. Now I'm not cutting these these stems and selling them. So for me, I don't care. This is gonna go on my kitchen table. It's gonna look stunning. It's fine. But if you really wanted super high quality florist blooms that you were going to sell, you would look for one that only has blooms open on the bottom third. So a lot of these, let's see if we can find one here. Like here's a good example. The bottom half to the bottom third of this, the blooms are open and the top is not. This would be a nice cut because once you put it in the water, in the vase, these will continue to open and you just get a longer vase life out of it. As with any cut flower, the moment that you cut them, put them into cool, clean water, and you're going to have a longer vase life on these stems. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is kind of aftercare. After you've pruned these all summer long, and trust me, it's going to give you more blooms than you will ever know what to do with. In fact, sometimes I look into my garden and I feel guilty because I'm not making enough arrangements. I'm letting flowers just kind of do their thing because I can't keep up with how many blooms I get. And that's okay. Most of the cut flowers that I plant, they double as pollinator plants, and I want them to be in the garden for companion planting, to have a diverse garden, and to have a healthy garden. So I don't really care if I miss out on some. But after the season's over and I've cut and I've cut and I've cut, you will see the flower production decrease because the hours of sunlight decrease. It gets cooler. They're just not going to be as prolific. With Snapdragons, there's not a whole lot of extra care that you have to do, except I like to go in and cut them down probably maybe 6 inches to the ground to get rid of any dead material, to just really clean up the plants so they're nice and short. So the following season, when they grow up those blooms, those stems, they're nice and long and healthy. Just like I mentioned, we cut really deep so we get nice long stems. By doing it at the end of the year, we're basically prepping for next year's blooms. So we want to hear from you guys. What Snapdragon varieties do you love? What tips do you have? And if you are a grower in zone 9 and 10, or if you just love our content, make sure you subscribe to our channel so we can be a part of your growing journey. So remember guys, it is totally possible to grow amazing, actually not even possible, it's easy to grow Snapdragons in zone 9 and 10 if you have the right tips, and that's using the right varieties, planting in the fall, netting them, not overhead watering them, and harvesting as much as possible. You will get tons of blooms that you can use and share with your friends and family. So there's lots of varieties out there, and we are trialing so many of them to find even more that work in zone 9 and 10. But here's a variety that definitely works. We've trialed it. It gives you great blooms. Start the seeds in the fall, and I guarantee by spring, you're gonna have amazing blooms, and they perennialize. So you'll have blooms for several seasons that you can enjoy in your arrangements.